Alright, hey everyone. I've had a few requests for my sound design, tutorials on my sound design, so I'm going to go over one of the bass sounds in the drop of my newest song called The Hunt. Here it is in context. So the sound we're talking about today is going to be this guy. Which is right here. So if we go ahead and solo this, we can hear it here, and then also over here, and that's just the same sound. So I'm going to focus on him. And here we go. So this is a Serum sound, and it's using the stock Serum wavetables, so anybody can go ahead and make this sound if they want to. So there's two components here, oscillator A and oscillator B. In oscillator A, we've got Monster 1 made by Seamless, and just alone it sounds like that, which is obviously the bulk of the sound. Oscillator B, which is Native Curse, sounds like this, which just adds a little bit of like vocally high frequencies to it. So again, together they sound like this. So what really makes this sound is the modulation, right? So I took this macro 1, which I've named Y over here because I thought originally that's the sound it was going to make, and I just mapped it to a whole bunch of stuff. So obviously the first thing it's mapped to here is wavetable position, and if you go ahead and bypass this one and bypass this one and play the sound, sounds kind of lame, right? And the same thing if you unbypass these, bypass these, still sounds kind of lame. So a lot of like complementary modulation is pretty important on getting a strong bass sound. So what I did here is I take both of these sounds and put bend plus minus on them and just sort of fiddle with these knobs until they sound right, and fiddle with the wavetable position until they sound right. This guy here, the high frequency sound, which you can hear again, is sort of stereo because I have this unison at 2. If I put it at like 4, it's more. If I put it at 1, you know, it's center. But I thought it sounded good, a little bit detuned, and paired with this mono-ish sound like this. So there's more stereo. Okay, so now we go to the filter over here, which is BPN24, which is one of those morphing filters. So as you can see, I have oscillator A, B, and noise all routed to the filter over here. So without the filter, it sounds like this, which is actually very similar. But I think it adds a little bit of valleyness to it. So what I did was I took this macro again and just sort of modulated this cutoff, this resonance, and morph. So without the morph, it sounds like that, which is very kind of stupid sounding in my opinion. But then with that, it kind of changes between these B, P, and N to make something more interesting. And then finally on this page, we sort of have this noise over here, and I chose organic cymbal mic bleed, which I don't know, I just kind of like that sound. It sounds like this. Wait, that's the sub. Okay. It's pretty quiet. I guess I turned it off, didn't I? Yeah, it sounds like that. I just put it there to fill up space, basically. I know a lot of people do that, so I'm also one of those people. So let's turn this back on. My sub is separated, so that's not in this patch. So effects are really important. If you just go through and turn off all the effects I have, the sound is going to sound like this, which again sounds pretty lame, not cool. So we gotta beef it up, you know. So what I did to do that, I guess let's go through one at a time. First I add this hyper here and just sort of modulate the detune a little bit. Without it, it sounds like this. with it, it sounds like this. Not a whole lot, just a little bit more stereo, whatever. And then distortion is usually a huge part of these sort of MIDI growl sounds, so that's how it sounds when you add the distortion in. This phaser is actually pretty interesting. If you crank up the mix, you can hear more clearly what it does. Right, but I thought that was too much, so I just sort of brought it down here. It adds a little bit of like valley woe to it without being overpowering. And then we got this chorus here. If you look at this phaser, the rate is set at 0. So the reason I do that is because I modulate the depth and the frequency here, and of course the mix also. But I don't want it to like be moving independently, so I'm sort of recreating the phaser movement by these macros here. So anyway, chorus, I kept the rate wherever, moved the depth here, and put delay on because it starts off. Sounds like this now. Right, and then OTT compression, right, turn on this multiband thing, crank the gain up to here, all of a sudden it sounds like this, which is nice, you know, gets a lot of like high frequency presence and everything. And then there's this trick here where you take this last EQ in the chain and put 2 like peaks or notches depending on what you're doing, and move the gain up and down to get, so like you could do this and this, and if you watch you can see them sort of moving back and forth. That's because I modulate the frequency. So without these it sounds like this, and I'll go through and add it in while it's still playing. So here, I'll do that. So that adds the last little bit of valley-ness to it to really make it a full vowel-y growl sound. Right, so that's nice. And then if you go here, I have a whole bunch of fancy routing going on, but basically here I've just got a little bit of distortion and compression, some saturation, another phaser just because, you know, I like phasers. This one, again, the frequency is off all the way, and then I just sort of put it somewhere I liked it. EQ, just messing around with some stuff. There was this weird like high frequency noise going on here, so I just cut that there. OTT, I tried putting that again, but I didn't like the way that sounded, so I left it off. And then we got Dimension Expander. So Dimension Expander is really nice. I'll play it with it off real quick. And then with it on. Really subtle, but it adds more dimension to your like fairly centered sounds. I like that a lot. And then this Maximus was just sort of done to taste. Me compressing and saturating and stuff. So you can see it getting absolutely destroyed here. So that's fun. And then that's pretty much the sound. So if you have any questions, you know, let me know. Oh yeah, one more thing. So here's the macro shape that actually got that sound, but really important here is this pitch envelope. So if you turn this off, it sounds like this, which again sounds really stupid. So really important on growls is this sort of pitch modulation. So be sure to drop this to -12, and you know, this guy over here to 12, and then you can watch that fall. So that's always fun. So yeah, basically general rules for my sort of sound design, I guess. Modulate everything, have these nice vowel-y filters like this and this EQ, probably too much compression, and then pitch falls. So that's pretty much that. If you have any questions, you know, ask me. Thanks for watching.